Wendy's Got the Heat. The Queen of Radio Bears All by Wendy Williams and Karen Hunter. Introduction. Futuristic Vision. Bitches and niggas every day are practicing to do my shit. Bitches every day are eyeing this number one spot. And I'm not threatened by it at all because I know a few things. First, I didn't get here just because. I worked very hard. And second, just like I got here, I know it can all be taken away. So I continue to work hard. I take nothing for granted. The top radio personalities in the country are all men. Howard Stern, Don Imus, Tom Joyner, and so on. I am the top woman nationally, even before syndication. In terms of money, in terms of industry recognition and prestige, I am number one. Yes, people know Robin Quivers, and perhaps Robin Quivers even makes more money than I do. But she is not in my class because she is riding the coattails of a major male jock, Howard Stern. And I'm not hating on Robin for being Ed McMahon to Howard's Johnny Carson. All I'm saying is that my show is the Wendy Williams experience. I'm nobody's sidekick. In my market, Light FM is usually the number one show during the afternoon drive. I'm number two. When I came back to New York and to WBLS, it was number 15 during the afternoons. In one book, which is only 3 months, I took them to number two. Number two for me is like being number one because Light FM, which plays easy listening music like Celine Dion, is generally the station of choice for most businesses. When you walk into a business, Light FM provides that background mood music. If I walked into a business and they do have the Wendy Williams experience on, I'm thinking that they are more interested in gossip than the business. I mean, really, what kind of respectable business would be tuning into my show during business hours? So I will concede the number one spot to Light FM. But answer me this. Who is Light FM's afternoon jock? I couldn't tell you. Women ask me all the time, how can they break into the business? How can they get down? How you get down? The quickest way to get down in this business as a woman is to get down, if you know what I mean. If you are willing to compromise yourself with a program director or an owner or executive of one of these radio conglomerates that own 25 stations across the country, you can all but guarantee yourself a job. He might put you in Nebraska, but you can bet you'll be his Nebraska chick. If you can suck a mean dick, you can become his Boston chick. Hey, I think that's the number 7 market. You poke a hole in the condom and have his baby, that might land you a New York spot because now you got his secret. There are women in all professions who got their jobs that way. But for me, I somehow knew that getting my job that way would taint everything I was trying to accomplish. It may have been easier, but I knew it would have also been fleeting. I wanted to make it on my own merits. Now I've been in this game more than 15 years and I'm still on top. I know there are quite a few women in other markets holding down their spot on their own merits, but none are doing what I'm doing in the media capital of the world, New York City. In a lot of ways, many female jocks coming up today are cheap imitations, Wendy wannabes. And I respect them too because once upon a time, I was a Carol Ford wannabe. That was the person I looked up to, whose career path I wanted to take. I remember when Carol Ford came to New York doing afternoons on Kiss FM. They brought her in with billboard ads and subway ads. She was a black woman with her own show, and she was very well paid. They even put her up in a fancy hotel. She came into New York diva style. At the time, I had just started college in Boston, and I would spend whatever money I had, whenever I had it, on a train ticket to New York City. I would get to the city by 2 in the afternoon to tape Carol Ford's entire shift. I would sit in Grand Central Station with my Walkman recorder and headphones and listen and record. When it was over, I would hop on a train back to school. Those tapes were my training tools. I was committed to being good, and being good meant learning from the best. Carol Ford was my role model. Before her, women on the radio were soft and sexy. They spoke in these muted tones, and everything was soft and pink. But Carol Ford was loud and big. She had voices and characters. She used sound effects. She carved her own image, her own niche. She made radio fun and seemed to be having fun doing it. I always knew that if I was ever going to go into radio, I would have to carve my own niche and be different from every other woman out there. I always knew that I had to be a standout, and I am today, but I don't rest on my laurels. I don't take my position for granted. I can't relax and think this will always be here for me like this. I know that part of a bitch getting a shot at dethroning me is getting a chance to sit in the big chair filling in for me when I'm on vacation. Fuck that. Nobody's sitting in my big chair. Not if I can help it. And don't get a bitch to sit in the big chair who is halfway decent and will also suck a dick. What? And don't get a bitch to sit in the big chair who is halfway decent, willing to suck a dick, and will take a $50,000 salary as opposed to my salary? Shit. I better never call in sick. I know those bitches are out there. I understand that a girl who will suck a dick and take a $50,000 paycheck and can do a cheap knockoff of me can snatch my spot. Those in positions to hire and fire like them cheap with big titties and aiming to please. Make no mistake. It's sad to say, but welcome to entertainment. That's why I don't give people the opportunity to sit in my seat. I make sure my ass is there every day. It's a great feeling to know that I never lost, and God forbid if I ever lose, my ability to recognize the importance of showing up. I never want to get to the point where I put my hands on my hips and say to myself, you know what? I'm taking off because I deserve this. I don't feel well today, and I'm not going in. What? How dare I? I must come to work every day and be on my game. Part of getting and keeping a job, any job, is showing the fuck up. People do not understand that, and until they do, people will continue to be unemployed. Some people have this twisted idea that nobody can do their particular job better than they can. They think, nobody can work this computer like me. They can't fire me. But the boss is thinking, you know what? It's great you can work this computer very well. But if you're going to continue to show up late every day or call in sick every other month or have these excuses for not showing up, like your baby is sick or your ride keeps breaking down, I'd rather hire less a person who I'm sure will be here every day on time. Reliability is just as important as the other qualifications. And no matter what has been going on in my life, I have always been reliable through inexperience and being wet behind the ears, through rape and abortion, even through cocaine addiction. I showed up. I could have had walk-in pneumonia and would still show up. To this day, and I have earned my stripes and can take the occasional day off whenever I want. My bosses still have to get on me to take my days. But now, it's not just about being reliable for me. I'm addicted to my audience. I don't want to be away too long from my people, my listeners, my flock. They make me feel bad when I take off. They scream at me through faxes and phone calls. They don't like feelings. No disrespect to those who have ever sat in my seat, but people who tune into the Wendy Williams experience expect Wendy Williams. They don't want some cheap imitation. They want me. They don't even want the best of the experience. They want me live. And that's a great feeling. I am not delusional. People who get delusional about their position, and I'm not talking about just radio and entertainment people. I'm talking about people in any job, relationship, or whatever, thinking they have it on lock, are in for a rude awakening. I have somehow always known that. I saw it even before I knew what I wanted to do. It was part of my futuristic vision, my ability to see into my own future and act out scenarios of my life long before they actually happen. I attribute my success today to futuristic vision. I've had it since I was very young. My futuristic vision came from being an outcast in every single aspect of my life. I was a misfit basically from the time I came out of the womb. My parents are perfect. My sister Wanda, who is 7 years older than me, 7 years older than I am, is perfect. My brother Tommy, the only boy and namesake to my father, is perfect. Then there is me, the big girl in a family of perfect bodies, the academically challenged child in a family full of academic achievers. I was an outcast in my own home. And when I got to school, I didn't quite fit in anywhere there either. I was the black girl in a practically all white school. And among the handful of blacks, I was the white girl, the outcast. I spent most of my youth in my room, rocking back and forth for endless hours, plotting my future. I knew that one day my being different would pay off. I knew one day my size would pay off. I knew one day that the way I spoke, which made the black kids call me white girl, would pay off. I knew one day what my parents felt was inappropriate talk would somehow pay off. All the things that set me apart and made me an outcast will work in my favor. Even if no one else can see it, I could. I plotted on everything from the most simple, how was I going to tackle the Macy's one day sale the next day and how would I navigate through the store, to the more complex, what type of woman I would be when I grew up and what kind of career I would have. I learned early that you must see yourself in a position in order to be in that position. If you can't see it, you can't be it. It just won't happen for you. My brother coined the phrase futuristic vision. He was my best and only friend growing up, and I would share with him a few of my plans. I would tell him that one day I would be a radio personality or a news anchor. I first wanted to be a newscaster, the woman who sits behind the desk and reads the news off a teleprompter. But once I realized how restrictive that job was, that was it. I knew my personality was too big to sit behind some desk reading from a teleprompter. I knew I would be a personality even before I knew what that meant. When my brother Tommy and I were very young, I used to force him to play roving reporter, a game I made up where I would interview him for my imaginary show. I think we played the game every day for an entire summer until he was sick of me. Tommy wasn't my only interviewee. He was the one person who I would let in on some of my most intimate plots for my future. Wendy, you're always talking about things that aren't going to happen for like 25,000 years, he would say. You and your futuristic vision. Futuristic vision was my driving force. I never used it for destructive things. I never said in my quiet times, let me figure out a way to be disruptive. Or, oh, I'm going to drink and smoke or wild out in school to get attention. I always use my solitude to say, I'll show them. It was a positive I'll show them. I wasn't trying to make anyone pay. I simply wanted people to see me the way I saw myself. I wanted them to know that even if they didn't think I was cool, and even if I didn't fit in, that being me was okay. I also wanted to let all the other misfits out there know that being a misfit is exactly what you need to be to win in this world. You can't trip just because you're a little overweight or because you're not in the most popular clique because look at those skinny popular bitches today. Where are they now? If you have a face full of zits in high school, don't trip. They will go away. And even if they don't, they can't stop you if you truly have a plan for your life. If you're a 16-year-old single mother, don't fret. While that wasn't my situation, I know you can still achieve your goals and find strength through adversity. The battle rages on. What I learned is that if you make mistakes, learn from them and move on. And above all else, be true to yourself. Don't try to fit into a mold of what someone else thinks you should be. I just kept being myself until the rest of the world caught up with me. When I was growing up, I was teased and called white girl, primarily because of the way I speak. The way I speak on the radio today is the way I spoke in Wayside when the black kids teased me. Today, I'm making loads of money because of the way I speak. I'm as white now as I was back then in terms of my delivery. Actually, I'm as black now as I was back then. They just couldn't see me. I'm sure if you polled the black kids in my school, they would say, yeah, Wendy will definitely marry a white guy. But they didn't have a clue about me. While I was never a racist, white simply was never my flavor. But I guess I had to show them, just like I showed my parents, that being a big girl would not hold me back. All the battles surrounding my weight were so unnecessary. Those talks, the diets, the looks, the comments didn't help me lose weight. It just made me feel bad about myself. But in my futuristic vision, I knew. I knew that one day I would show them that the big girl could handle hers. Just give me a moment to get from under this tuna fish and mustard diet, and I'll show you that size can be a plus, not a negative. I envisioned how my career path would be. When I was in high school, I used to talk about it so much that Liz, one of my closest friends, believed me. She would tell everyone, you know Wendy is going to come back to the reunion in a purple Cadillac with a long purple mink coat, and she is going to be a DJ. She was close. I didn't have a purple Cadillac or the mink, not yet. But I was a DJ. I got my first New York City radio job at Hot 103, a dance music station. when I was about a year out of college. When my 5-year high school reunion rolled around, I was too pleased to go back to Ocean Township High School and show them. Many of my classmates had either dropped out of college or was still trying to finish or trying to find a job, and I was already a big time New York job. Yeah, I was working overnights, but I was on my way. I showed up in all of my fabulosity. I came back with flair, big hair, long pink nails, and loud. I fulfilled my vision for myself. I saw things when no one else could. And I didn't just stop at the futuristic vision. I went out and did the damn thing. Now bitches are practicing every day to do my shit. The way I practice to do Carol Ford shit. They want a chance to sit in the big chair. But you can't get this chair, not my chair, without futuristic vision.